You're officially invited to join the inner circle of top leaders from all over the country. Listen and learn as these obsessed entrepreneurs reveal the secrets that led to their success. Welcome to the community. Today's episode starts now.
What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. I have Matt Teifke from TRE Real Estate, and we're going to talk everything from commercial. We're going to talk about the NAR settlement. We're just going to kind of dive into it, but I appreciate you coming on here, Matt. How's it going?
Doing great, man. That intro got me fired up. I'm happy to be here.
I swear every time I'm doing this, it always ends with me just doing this because I just start bobbing my head too. So it's good. So how's your day going?
It's great, man. I've been structuring things where I don't have to go to the office and got a good team, and by no means retired, but I try to be out on a bike or on a walk and doing my calls, and I'm living here in Corpus, and it's beautiful, and so I feel blessed every day to live the real estate life, and that's kind of what I feel like we're all after within real estate is a little bit of freedom and flexibility and not really worrying too much about a clock.
Yeah. When did you all move to Corpus?
About a year. I went to school here 10 years ago, and we were coming back like once or twice a year. And I love Austin, and I'll always love Austin, but it's just a slower pace of life. And I got two little baby boys, and we go to the beach all the time, and it's affordable. We're not having to pay $1 million, and we're 3 blocks from water. So we're just really happy here. It's been about a year.
Dang, man, that sounds like the life, though, man. That's all I'm trying to get at. My screensavers are all Hawaii. I'm like, just give me somewhere close to a beach, man. That's it. Like, I'm all about that. It sounds like you're living the dream, but yeah, I think that, as far as we were talking about it, but that is kind of the dream. I think that's why many real estate agents, they get into the business because they see the flexibility and they see the potential of having that kind of dream freedom life. And it always pains me when I call, a listing or, I get a buyer's agent and that we're chatting and I'm like, oh, how long you been in the business? And they're like, oh, I am 58 years old and I've been doing it. I'm like, I've been in it for 30 years. I'm like, you've been slinging real estate for 30 years. Like, what's your exit strategy? And they're like, I don't know. Like, and I'm like, what? Like I like that. So you guys are there, man. So you're already living the dream, man, and you're a young guy. So kudos to you, brother.
Thanks, man. We're trying. I mean, just like anything, there's no secrets and challenges every day, and it's shifting and changing market. And in a lot of ways, what led to our success to this point is not what's going to lead us to the next stage, in my opinion. And just like everything, it's a lot. There's stress and challenges, but I kind of find a lot of solace in having that flexibility and freedom to do stuff like this. And after this, I'm going to walk, but I'll be working the whole time. And so it's just the life that I prefer rather than clocking in. And there's not one thing right or wrong, but everybody's a little different. And I still am like fighting having a job every day. And I heard this quote. I really liked it. It was basically that some people fight to never lose their job, and entrepreneurs, we fight to never have one. Well, that's kind of the mindset that
100%. Yeah, I'm actually, I didn't until we started talking, I didn't realize you moved to Corpus and you're by the beach. And if I would have known that before this, I probably wouldn't have had this, because now I'm just all super jealous and I just want to head over there now and just hang out with you. Can we just walk together and make our calls? Can we walk,
man? We're just 3.5 hours south of Austin, and I'm pretty passionate about opening this up. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of my friends included, we all grew up in Austin, and like I said, it's a great place, but it's just busy now. And it's been 20 years there, and I think a lot of people don't realize what's down here, right? You can buy houses in Corpus for $200,000, $250,000. I'm living in a rental property, and it's $1,900 a month, and I got a house in the back, and I'm literally 3 blocks from the water. And I really feel like if this house was in Austin, it'd be like $5,000 a month. And so it's here, and you don't have to live in Austin, work in Austin. That's where we do most of our work. But I think people have this opinion about Corpus and South Texas, and I get people out here, they're like, wow, I had no idea. And it also feels like it's changing. Like not only am I happy it's a slower pace of life, but there are jobs and businesses and opportunities coming here where if that's the case, then maybe I'll be ahead of the curve. And it feels like that is going to change. I don't think it's going to stay like this 10 years from now. I mean, Elon opened a Tesla battery plant. They're redoing this bridge down here. And when people see it, they're like, this is unreal. And it's not hard to get into. Like, you just 3.5 hours south of Austin, and it's affordable, and you can still do work wherever you want to. And I'm trying to get everyone to come down here.
Oh man, don't twist my arm, because it ain't gonna take much twisting. So the 1% rule, does it kind of apply in Corpus then?
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
everything is 1%. Like, you're really looking for 2%.
No, which is unheard of, which 1% is unheard of in Austin.
Yeah, the challenge on the investing side is the insurance. The insurance is a big cost, which definitely changes that percent rule a little bit. But you can buy houses here. So a lot of people buy houses for 40, 50 grand, and they rent for 1,000. Not super nice properties, but you can fix them up. And then on average, I mean, you can go buy 130, 140 and rent them for 15, 16, 1,700 all day.
Wow, that's the hardest, when you start talking to especially like first time investors. They're like, yeah, I just want to start rental portfolio, and like, I want to just buy some properties in Austin. And I'm like, this isn't the market for it. Like, it's just it's so difficult to do that. You got to almost look on the outskirts of you're like, and then you're like, yeah, what about Killeen? And you're like, no, I don't want to, and then so it's kind of all these these outskirts. But to find it in Austin, it's like, it's just give up, find it somewhere else. Like, because you don't want to have one down. And they're like, oh yeah, I like to have someone really close to me. Like, I'm like, you don't want a rental property close to you, because as soon as that grass isn't cut, like, you're going to be freaking out every time you drive by it. So
there's no cash flow in Austin. I'm saying here,
yeah,
it's true.
I gotta venture down there. Honestly, we've been down to Port A a couple times, but I don't think I've ever ventured to Corpus. I might have to take a trip down there and get a little beach day with y'all. That'd be great.
Oh man, we got a little guest house in the back. It's all yours.
What? Yeah. How many kids do you have? You have 2 kids?
Yeah, 2 kids, 2 boys.
How old are they?
5 and about to be 4.
All right. I have a 16-year-old, and then I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Nice. So dude, let's do it. Let's set that up, man. Let's come down there, and if you can convince my wife, let's move. Let's go.
Waiting on you, brother. Waiting on you.
Oh, I'm not the one. I'm not the difficult one to convince. That's the hard part. But cool, man. So you guys are. I mean, I've been very blessed to see your growth. Like, I remember when I first started in real estate here in Austin, I was working at a brokerage. Just getting started, was a director over there in sales, and I remember you and your wife coming in, and you had a leasing company and property management company, and was lucky enough to get to know you guys, kind of know your backstory, and get to know a little bit more about you, and just your outlook, your faith, and everything like that. Which was like, when I met you and your wife, I was like, man, they got it figured out. You meet that, and then you're like, yeah, and then, I don't know, man, I've got to see that growth between you, and then you started your company, and I've got to watch that, and just see how you guys have grown. And it's really awesome. I mean, it's cool to see the billboards, man. I see the billboards now, and I'm seeing that, and I'm like, man, I remember when he was doing the property management. I saw him, and I'm just like, so it's really cool to see. So I want to backtrack a little bit, and let's take it to, you guys are doing property management, and kind of when you guys were in that game. We won't go too far back, but when you're in that game and you started to think about opening your own brokerage, tell me kind of like where you guys were at, and maybe some challenges that you had along the way.
Sure. Well, the brokerage was always around. It was a much bigger focus on management. I was working at a commercial brokerage for 3 years while Lexi was building the management company. But really the goal was to get steady income. As you know, in real estate, it's just hard to find that, right? even with owning properties. So the mindset has always been the same. And we really just started with like, let's build a foundation, steady income, something we can build off of. And then once we get that to a spot that it feels good, let's go take risk based on that. So that's always what we were trying to do. And we built up to like 300 doors, right around there. I got to plug my computer in real quick. We got it around 300 doors. And then we ended up partnering with a company called Stone Oak. And then we ended up selling we had 30% of that company. And then we sold that 30% to them. But the mindset was always be an entrepreneur, help other people buy and invest and add value where we can. I don't know if this is the best term, but this is the way I've thought about it. It's almost like the property management business for us was almost like a Trojan horse, in the sense of like, let us get in the door with people so where they didn't feel like we were competition. And it was like, here's one way we can add value, because a lot of people think there's competition between agents and investors. And I know that that's there and it's a hardcore business, but I try to think on a different wavelength of like, hey, we need to team up. We need to do things together. And little things like I call agents and I'm like, hey, I just want to get on the call. Hey, how can we help each other out? How can we make money? And a lot of people are just like, well, I don't know. I'm licensed. You're licensed. Like, buzz off. And I'm like, man, you're missing like, so much of the picture, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm not fighting for the commission. I mean, you could represent me or I could represent you. There's just so many things that you can do to bring value outside of we're both licensed. So the management company was always the philosophy of how do we get the steady income? How do we build a brand and a name and recognition and not have people feel threatened? And then we've always been trying to acquire and own real estate, since we started the management company. And biggest challenges were, one, we sold that company, the steady income stopped. And then it said, all right, now we got to focus on the brokerage and building the brokerage and getting the brokerage to a position where it's steady. And that was right before COVID that I partnered with Alex, my partner. I had like 7 agents that were with me at the time. And then we said, we got to really turn this brokerage into a business. And so COVID changed everything for everybody and really just opened up the concept to who we were the whole time, which was come to TRE, be an entrepreneur, own, invest, wholesale, flip, really provide people with multiple options, be able to wear different hats. And you're on a fact-finding mission to find out what's important to sellers. And so we try to create that environment for people the best we can. But then we're the built-in partner for them if they need it. And I think there's a lot of people, including myself, that need a partner or need somebody that will think creatively, not just, hey, we need a loan or these are the terms we're getting. And in my opinion, it doesn't really exist. And I'm trying to build that out. It's a challenge for sure. But you kind of just go to the 3 or 4 wealthy people, and hopefully you can partner. If not, you figure out a different solution. But we just want to, at scale, be able to be a built-in partner for people that want to own, and we'll own it with them. And we learned over time that, and I guess two of the other challenges, we bought and we still own maybe 65 or 70 houses. And I'm glad we did. It's really good on the balance sheet. But as far as cash flow goes, it's tough. As far as paying taxes and insurance and maintenance, most of these properties ultimately probably cost us money. They might break even. Forever, they were going up in value significantly. Now they're relatively stable. But we just learned that single family is not the way to go. I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't have done it differently. I think it can get you to a spot where you can go do bigger deals. But I'm just convinced that nobody that has single family is really cash flowing. Unless you've got them paid off. I mean, if you're going to go get a loan and buy single family, you're just building the net worth and the balance sheet, not the cash flow that's coming in.
Yeah, I think the 1 to 4, that's what we're talking about. Anything under 4, right? 4 units, anything under that. I mean, you're talking, hey, you're probably cash flowing, maybe not. I mean, not obviously, probably in Austin, maybe, but 3 and 4. Possibly, when you have 1, like you're banking on, hey, this is going to go up eventually. Someone's paying majority of my mortgage, and then eventually I'll be able to sell it off, and this is my like a long-term investment. But if you're taking the stand of, hey, I want a cash flow, then commercial, you have to go. Like you have to. If not, then you're playing the long game. And I think when people start thinking about, you know, single family and things like that, they're like, oh, I'm going to start getting a property and they can do rentals. And you're like, okay, what's your exit strategy? Because it sounds like a long exit strategy. And so I think that you're like on you're on the same path as I'm kind of like, yeah, I've turned way too many deals down because I'm like, this just does not make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it sounds like a time sucker, and it sounds like a money sucker. And I'm like, I'm not getting the returns on it. So that just points me into commercial. So I think, you know, but I love what you are starting to do and what you're doing with your brokerage, because like we were talking, man, I hate seeing agents not have a plan and not having, and that sucks, you know, that sucks. And you think of brokerages, and we think of brokerages as this is a place you hang your license and they're going to protect you. Like if stuff happens, you're going to have like all these compliance things, but really in all reality, do they care enough about you to say, hey, I'm going to back you up. What you need, let's get creative. Let's do that. So we can secure your future, right? And your freedom. I don't feel like they do that as much. It's kind of like, hey, we'll let you house your business in our business, but you guys just run it, you know, to make sure you don't get us in trouble, you know.
Whoa, it's talking my language. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man. That's why honestly, and then before we didn't even talk about this before, but when you start telling me that, I mean, that's what, like, we are literally promoting in this industry, like being self-employed to yourself. And you're like, oh, I'm a business owner. Like, yo, no, you're not. You're not a business owner. Let's teach you how to be a business owner, but you're not one. And so for you to start that and have that at the forefront and be like, you know, this is what I want to do in my plan, man, that's really awesome. And I think that it's about time that somebody did that. So
we're trying, man. I don't know if we can do it or not, but I mean, we're doing it for sure, just not at scale.
What nothing that's holding you back? Like, what do you feel like why it's not? Is it more or less that just challenges along the way, or is it like just it catching on?
Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, I pitched this concept to every single brokerage because I feel like we could do it with a large brokerage, and they have the scale, so we can do it immediately. Right. We are doing it. I mean, that's how we're buying properties, and that's what we're doing with everybody on the team. We're just not doing it all over the country or all over the world. Capital and tech and systems would be helpful, and I believe we will do it, but I was just trying to partner to make it happen in like 3 years or 5 years instead of 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really frustrating because I really do believe that brokerages don't care about their agents simply based on what you're saying, right? Like, yeah. Why would you not want to build a system for your agent to own and retire? And why would you not help them own? And why would you not buy with them? And you're just making money off them. And you know, you can go and look at all these large brokerages and they might talk about it, but they don't do anything to actually own or invest or help their agents invest. They might have a mindset of like, yeah, you can do it. But like what we're trying to do is we'll sign on the loan. We'll give you the balance sheet. We'll put the money in the deal. And I wish I had that solution. And that's really what it is like, if I had that solution, I'd be doing 10 times more, and maybe we can figure out how to build it at scale. We are doing it, but just not at scale. And so there's some challenges with it. I think a lot of brokerages will say the liability. I personally think that's just BS. That's just the easy cop-out. But I really think that they just don't, one, probably understand it, or two, know how to capitalize off of it. But I met one of the CEO of one of the largest brokerages there is. I met most of them actually, but one of them, and like he was, it was kind of interesting, but he was like baffled at the concept of wholesaling. He never heard of the term. And I kind of like introduced him to it, and he's like, so what? Like are there like, how many people are doing this? Like hundreds? You have like thousands. And like, I just don't understand how we could be one of the largest brokerages and not understand what that is. It kind of baffles me. But ultimately, it doesn't, in the sense of they got their lane and they're doing what makes money. That's to the point of they don't really care about. I mean, agents don't have any kind of retirement plan. Like that seems like the first thing you would want to put in place as a brokerage owner, because that's how you're really going to help them in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, we're at AEXP, and that's the one reason I think we're stuck. Not stuck. I love EXP, so it's not like a bad thing. Not a stuck, but in a sense is that we put into stocks, we get 10%. They do the whole like. So it's like, we get recruiting calls all the time, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come over?" I'm like, unless you guys have a really good sign-on bonus, I can't leave. And so, but it's mostly based upon that, opposed to like, hey, we invested money and we can't leave because we lose it, opposed to being like, which is a very different mindset, is really what it is. The concept, they're like, okay, well, we're helping you get to a point where you're investing in stock, which is great, and I love it. And, they have the rev share and things like that. But, not a lot of people want to recruit. I'm not one of the ones. I'm like, hey, if people come, great. That's awesome. Like, if so, then I'm giving them value. The stocks, go up and down. But the thing about what you're doing is you dictate your own destiny. Right. And so it's like, hey, I can put as much money as I want in the stock, and if it plummets, like, it's not like it's doing anything. If I want to go invest in 5 houses this month and I'm crushing it and finding them, and they're like, these all make sense, and my brokerage is backing me to that, I mean, that's a whole other.
Dude, and I'm fighting a battle that's just like, I feel like I'm the only one doing it in some sense, but like, if you were an agent with Terry and you go buy 10 properties, you're not locked in. Like, you can still switch brokerages and you still own the properties with us. Right. And the stock thing, I respect the XP. I respect all the brokerages. I wish they would add on what we're trying to do, and we partner with them. But most agents and most people don't know anything about stocks. Like, and I'm not the expert, but I know enough to go and read the filings and, see who's buying and selling and what are the earnings and how many outstanding shares does the company have? And agents are like, I got all this stock. It's like, how many shares exist? They have no idea. And so why are you falling in love with something that you don't really understand? You're not even putting the time to understand it. And it's probably just because it's easy. Right. And so I just think
true.
People are playing the wrong game. And I've recruited as much as anybody, and it is really hard. Right. Like, you go and to get 10 people to join, it takes 50 meetings over 6 months, and then half of them leave to the next brokerage and half of them don't produce anyways. And so it's like, if you're falling in this recruiting thing, I get it maybe early on at a lot of these brokerages, and I think you were in a good spot personally. Like, you got in pretty early and you did well with it. But just to go out and recruit, it's like, you're not playing the real estate game.
No. And man, I wanted to quit dating when I got married, and that's what I feel like it is every time I'm recruiting. Like, I'm like, hey, listen, let's go get some coffee. Let's talk about your future. Like, hey, does it include me? Does it include EXP? Are we? And then I'm like heartbroken because no, you show somebody else.
Yeah.
What did they have that I didn't? Like,
That's why I think that's why I that's probably the biggest challenge, and why it's not happening is like, I've done that and like, I know that it can work. I can go meet 3-4 agents a day, and we had 170 agents. Now I think we got 110, but I could go do that, but it doesn't feel like the best use of my time. Like, I could go get 100 agents, but it'd be a full-time commitment for a year, and then half of those would leave and half of those wouldn't produce, like I said. And so I believe in what we're doing. I've kind of stopped pushing it into existence and was hoping that another brokerage would provide the platform and we could be the guys to lead it. But it's still working and people are coming our way. I'm just like not forcing it the way I used to.
Yeah. Well, it's return on, they always talk about your ROI, but we always talk about ROTI, which is your return on your time invested. And that's one thing that that I'm always, when I'm coaching my agents, I'm like, what is your time invested? Because sometimes it's hard to quantify your ROI on those things, but what are you investing? Like, how much time? Because you ain't getting that back. And I think you're absolutely right, that, and recruiting, man, it's one of those things that it's a whole different beast. And I feel like you're not getting into real estate for the reasons you got into real estate. You're going where the money's at, and you're like almost chasing that like shiny little penny. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, like this is, oh, I got to go do this. Oh, yep, I got to go do this now. And then, oh, I got rev share. And that's, I'm like, no, just go do real estate and post about it. And people will ask questions. And if those people want to join, great. If they don't, great. You know, and you're just doing the things that you're doing because, I mean, all the people that I talk to, they're crushing it in real estate. And I'm talking to them because they're crushing it in real estate, not because they're crushing it in rev share. You know, I want to know, like, that's what I want to know. Like, how are you, like, with you? I'm like, dang, dude, he's getting into commercial, bro. Let's jump on. Let's chat this thing up. And I think that, you know, the path that you're going, I wish other brokerages would do that. My question is, are you open to partnering with other agents and other brokerages to do this? Is that something that you're willing to do? Is this like a whole separate kind of, here's the brokerage, but here's a whole other kind of part of, not the brokerage, but a whole other business that just elevates agents?
Yeah, dude, that's what I want. That's all I want to do. That's all I wanted for myself. And so,
yeah,
it's interesting because I feel like I've gone down this path so hard. I mean, I literally talked to every single brokerage from the top down, all of them.
Yeah.
I don't think you could name one that I didn't. And I pitched this idea, and I'm like, why would we not offer this one to the agents that are here, but also to everybody else? Like, everybody wants this. And so that's not going to work. I've tried. And then I'm trying now with another guy to, you know, build the software for it. But it is here. That's all we want to do is, and I just don't know many people that are willing to do what we are. And it's not like we have any kind of secret. We want to own real estate with you. And to me, we all have the same goal with real estate, and I don't know. I mean, there's maybe some exceptions, but we're looking for cash flow and generational wealth and freedom through that. So
that's it.
Why are we all competing? Why don't we do this together? Why don't we team up? Why would EXP, for example, not want to pay rev share based on rent collected from properties that the company owns and agents own with it? I don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, you know, we send our balance sheet to people here, use this to send to the seller to get them on board. Here, we'll sign on the loan. Here, we'll analyze it with you. We'll throw up capital with you. We'll help you raise capital. And that's there. And what we've really dialed in on is buying larger deals. We just closed a $7 million RV park, and that's probably our best deal and our biggest deal.
Yeah.
And so that's the new direction. But I just kind of like have somewhat given up on this happening. I hope it does, and I'll never stop fighting for it. But I've kind of given up on that. One, on the scale of the brokerages not being able to help, and two, like people taking what we offer for granted. Like, it's a big deal to give someone their balance sheet to go buy a property. And so it's like, I'd rather just go talk to 50 sellers a day and go buy $7 million deals. It's going to take me time, and it's not easy, but that seems to be more fruitful than me trying to force something that I believe that most people just don't kind of take for granted. And maybe that's kind of the challenge that everyone goes through, that's trying to do something unique and special. And that's why I'm not 100% going to give up on it, but I'm just shifting to, let's just go buy assets and do what we ultimately want to do anyways, instead of trying to help everybody else do this.
Yeah, I think we definitely think alike, because what you're like speaking of is basically like a server mindset. Like, how do I help somebody else grow? Like, how can I, because in all honesty, Matt, you could literally go out and just go crush it on your own and like help 0 people besides your family, which is great. But also there's something that sounds like that's like intrinsically inside of you that you're like, man, I wish I would have had this. Like, you know what I mean? And then, but the sad part to me is that when you are having these conversations, but this is where we're at, is like, hey, Matt, what's in for you? Like, this isn't like, you know, what's in it for you? Or this is too good to be true. Or wait, you're going to do this? Or I don't want to be part. I'm tied to them, because then what happens if they, and it's like, that's the sad part, you know, because what you're doing is you're like, hey, I'm trying to help you, and we're going to help each other. And this is how.
Well, it helps me. It tremendously helps me, right? Like, we bought this $7 million deal, and we raised $2 million from other people and we put $0 in it. So, hey, like, yeah, I might have a big heart about it. And I believe that there's people that need this, but also selfishly, it tremendously helps me. Like, I can only do so much on my own. This just gives me scale, but it gives us all scale. Like, it's not, this isn't supposed to be the Matt show. It's just like, let's just all go do this and own and invest and give you some kids. And whether my name's on it or not is irrelevant. But I do see the niche. I do have the vision for it. And I know that people want this, but trying to figure out how to get it across the table at scale, that's been my biggest challenge. And so it's just like, let's just go buy, and we need other people to buy for sure. And so that's the path that we're taking.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we there's a lot of and inside of all brokerage, KW, EXP, everyone that I've ever, you know, dealt with. There's a lot of like real estate courses and a lot of like, here's how you get more listings, here's cold calling, whatever it is, right? Social media is a huge one. But there's not a lot that are like, hey, y'all need to plan on turning this into a business of like creating processes and creating something that is completely repeatable, and that you're not going to have to do this for the rest of your life. Like, you better not be taking these classes in the next 10 years. Like, in 10 years, shouldn't be taking these classes on how to get another listing.
Right.
It'd be like, why are you should not still be in this class. And so, you know, I love like, I've done a transaction. I think I've done a couple with you, and they're always easy because you have the same mindset I do. It's like, we're on the same team. The seller wants to buy this house. The seller wants to sell the house. Buyer wants to buy it. We're there to help them, and we're there to help each other, not like fight with each other. But when you think somebody else is on the other side and they're like the enemy, it's not that way. It's just not that way. And I hate that. I can smell. I hate it when I'm calling people. I'm like, I'm thinking about making an offer, and they just start with the trash talk. Like, I call it real estate trash talking, where it's like, okay, well, just let you know. And I'm like, whoa, like, let's tone it down a little bit. We're on the same team. I want to make this happen. Do you? What's that about? And so I would love to see this take off like crazy, man, because I think it's needed. And it's just not realist. Buying and selling one single family homes should not be the end goal. And it shouldn't be retiring from that. It should be able to be retired because you have enough money coming in every month that you can do whatever you want, you know?
I could go on and on about it. I mean, I've gotten debates with people about, you know, not giving people options. I'll give you two kind of quick examples. You know, a lot of brokerages don't let people manage properties.
Yeah, EXP doesn't. Yeah.
Why do they do that? They say that there's liability, right? That's BS, man. I mean, there's just as much liability, and there's probably more liability in helping someone buy or sell multi-$100,000 house and collecting a $1,500 to $2,000 rent check. But they don't know how to make money off of property management. And they don't, I mean, it's almost like a conspiracy, maybe, but it's like they don't want you to go have that freedom and build that financial freedom through that and then not make commissions, right? And also, I've met tons of agents that are like, oh, I hate wholesalers. I hate this and that. And I'm like, so what do you do with your client when they run into a situation where they have to sell quick or they don't want people coming in their house? Like, what do you do? He's like, well, nothing. I just pass on. I don't call them back. This is like one example. And I'm like, so you're ultimately doing you're only working with them in the sense of like, how are you going to make money? And you're not providing them value and solutions that are outside of you listing the property. So you're the one doing the business the wrong way. And like a huge debate over dinner over an agent, and he's a smart guy, and comes full circle like, you're right. And it was like, I was telling him at the very beginning, you know, this is how we approach things. It's like, I want to meet you. You're the seller. I want to give you these options. And I could buy it. I could buy half of it. I could lend you the money. I could list it, whatever it may be. That's what really should exist. And then he just goes on to, I hate wholesalers. So I'm like, dude, I've maybe wholesaled 7 deals in my life. Like, I'm not a wholesaler. It's a tool that I've used. But the fact that you jump to that and don't understand it just shows that there's such a different game that can be played. But I think everyone's getting tricked by the brokerages into like, this is how we're going to make money.
No, I 100% agree. I think it's tool. You have as a real estate agent, you have a tool belt, and you take that out and you're like, oh, hammers are stupid. You're like, wait, sometimes you need a hammer. Like sometimes you need a hammer. Sometimes you need some pliers. Sometimes you need some tweezers. Sometimes you need all of these things, and for you to just discredit it and not learn more about it, I think that's our society too. In a lot of like, instead of like going and sitting down and having a beer with somebody, you'd rather just argue with them, and not even know his side of the story.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you don't like that person? My father-in-law says it best. He's like, if you don't like that person or that whatever, political party, whatever it is, go have a beer with them. You'll realize you have more in common than you think, and that everyone's got. And so I think it's the same thing. Is like, I think, and that's when we were talking about commercial, and I was like, hey, business brokering. I was like, I just want to have that in my tool belt if I'm going to do that.
What did you? Yeah, I don't think I would think that like 95% of agents don't have more than one tool, and that's like the sad thing, and that means they're doing a disservice to 95% of the consumers out there. I really believe that. Like, I can just have these conversations and say, what do you know about this, or cost segregation, or 1031, or IRR, or all these things, and they don't know what I'm talking about, and so they're there to kind of trade paper and get a paycheck and not add any real value.
What do you think about, you have an investor too, and they're like, oh yeah, you work with investors? Oh yeah, I work with investors all the time. And like, if you uncover that stuff and start asking some questions about cost segregation and 1031 exchanges and how they work, most of them probably wouldn't have an idea of how they work.
But why are you in the real estate business?
I agree.
Right?
Or why aren't you partnered with somebody that can help teach you that?
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
It's frustrating, man. I've kind of, you're bringing it all back out, but like I've kind of just almost mentally moved on to just go buy deals, but it is very frustrating. I feel like there's just so many things out there in real estate, and that's probably, you talked a little bit about it, but the NAR lawsuit and some of those things, probably why they exist and why they're coming about is there are some things that are wrong that are happening, and I'm excited for more and more change to occur.
Bring it on. When everybody asks me about the NAR, I'm like, well, it hasn't affected me yet, so I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and when it does, I'll pivot.
Sure.
Like, that's all I can do, and it's like, okay, well, who's not complaining about it is listing agents. I was like, so go get more listings. Like, you can already see, like, are they going to buyers? So go get more listings if you're worried about it that much. Yeah. And I think it's, the mindset is all where it is of like, and that's the confidence, I think, when you're talking to sellers, whether it be for wholesaling, whether it be to buy, it doesn't matter. You're talking to people that are in real estate, because you have so many tools in your tool belt. I feel like it's like that when I talk to my ISR, my inside sales rep, and we're calling, she's calling expires and things like that. And she's like, there's so many agents. And I was like, no, that's why we have to call. Because we are there to help them. They're on a boat, and like they're without a light raft, and all these people are just coming at them, and they're more sharks looking for a commission. I was like, opposed to us, that we have so many things in our tool belt that we want to be able to help them. They're like, what do you need, right? You got a sunken ship? We got you. We can tell you. What else you need, right? You need a little hole repair? We got that. Like, we have all that stuff. I was like, so we're doing it so we're protecting them from everybody else. And I go, if you go in that mindset, I was like, trust me, we'll take care of them. And that's the reason that I'm fine cold calling, because I know the purpose is they could have someone that has one tool in their tool belt, and they're going to sell them. But that one tool is, hey, I'm really good on the phone and can sell you. And that's their one tool, And so, dude, I love what you're doing, man. Honestly, like it gives me life hearing you talk about that, because I feel like I'm very much, and my coaching is all about like processes and trying to figure out how you can get to that point. And I think that a lot of people the brokerages don't do that. So there's a space for it. Yeah. It's like, but then the questions are like, oh yeah, my brokerage doesn't do that, so why does that matter? And you're like, you're missing the point. Like, you're missing the point. And so I hope if anything, I hope this encourages you that that is the right move. Whether it works out, that way and people actually can actually uncover it and see actually for what it truly is, that's the question that is going to hard to answer, you know?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I'm up for a challenge, and I'll always fight for it. But in the meantime, it's like, let's just go and offer this to people that get it and they care, and find more people like that, and quit trying to force change in an industry that's not really asking for it. We'll just do it our way, and if we can attract the right people and people can see it, then hopefully they'll find us and we go grow together.
I feel like that's disruption right there, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's disruption's hard because we see it from like a corporate level opposed to being like from the personal level is the opposite, right? So you're doing it from a personal level, be like, hey, I want to help these agents. And most disruption is like, hey, we have the Zillows doing this or whatnot, like these big, huge. And so what you're trying to do is, I mean, it's a good disruption for sure.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just what I believe, right? So like anybody could be listening to this podcast and they could go do this. It's not like I'm the only person who understands this. I do believe that I could be part of it, and that would be what I'd want to do. But Zillow could start this right now. Yeah, and I'd love to help with that and be part of it. And so I just want it to exist. I mean, I want it for myself. I want to be able to bring a deal and go get bigger deals done and have a bigger balance sheet and have more partners.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of if you're opening it up to anybody that's in real estate, that if they're an agent and they're curious about it and like they basically need that essentially mentoring and helping through it, and that's where you're like, hey, listen, like we can both win. We're even if we're on different teams, brokerages, like it doesn't matter. Like we're in real estate.
Yeah, well,
you're in real estate.
Agents are funny though, dude, and I'm this way. I'm sure in some sense, and I'm sure you get this, but like agents will complain that they don't have any listings or not busy, right? And give them 2 listings and 2 buyer clients, and they're good. And they don't want 10 and 10. Some people do, but it's like they get that little bit going on, but enough to have the total freedom, flexibility, and so they're good. And then 6 months later, they're complaining, and they don't. They act like they want all this stuff, but they don't.
Yeah. Well, it's I always tell people there's no such thing as it's always a lack of trying. It's never a lack of leads because leads are easy. Leads are either a paycheck. It's either just a check you write, or you have every house that you can knock on. You can get every house's phone number. You can call people. You can do anything you want. Leads are never the issue. The issue is a lack of effort. Yeah. Of putting yourself out there. One, it could be fear. It could be all these things. But I think that I tell you what, man. Let's partner on a deal. Let's find something. Let's do it.
Come on, man. Hey, and let's do a big one.
Let's do a big one.
Dude, my opinion is this is not a political statement, but like I think if Trump wins, which I think he will, I think the market will quickly turn around. And so my opinion is we have until then to find motivated sellers and hit a home run. And one deal could change our lives or other people's lives. And I mean, I'm reading a book right now about this guy, last name Zeckendorf, and he's an all-time real estate guy. And Trammell Crow is a big book that I'm a believer in, kind of following some of the things that he did. But you can't think that things are too big for you. Like these guys go and they tie something up for $10 million and they make $10 million on top of that and they still own it, whatever it may be. We just got to find the opportunities and then put the right people in place to go get it done. Yeah. Nobody buys, downtown buildings in Austin on their own. They do it with the team. And so I think too many people think that they can't do it. But there are motivated sellers out here more than ever since I've been in the business, 13 years. Yeah. And if we find them and we have these conversations, there's no reason we can't do it. We bought that RV park and we raised $2 million way faster than I would have thought. And so now the deal's like, we're looking for 15, 20 million, 30, 40, 50. And if you want to help us find that, you can own it with us. We'll help in every way that we can. And there's this small window right now. I think we got to go get some of these done.
I agree. And it's really weird though. As far as just the whole election we were talking about, doesn't it feel like there's nobody like actually like in the race right now? Like, it's like, I don't see, there's no debates. There's like, I'm not getting any
Yeah.
There's not like anyone, there's no like commercials. There's like, I don't see anything. It's so weird right now. I feel like every 4 years, like I feel like by January I'm getting bombarded with stuff. And so it's going to be interesting what happens with that. But I think if Trump takes over, I think you're 100% right. The real estate market is going to be booming at that point. And you're going to be looking back at this moment, watching this and going, damn it. Why didn't I listen to Matt?
And to get the deal, to get the deals that we're trying, I mean, you have to start now because they take 3, 4, 5 months. But there's no reason why you or anyone else listening can go find an opportunity and we go buy it together. That's literally what we want to do.
I love it, man. Well, I get the pleasure. I get to chat with him after, and we're gonna go find a deal, man. That's what we're gonna do. But if anyone's listening or watching this, if they want to get a hold of you, they wanted to learn more about investing or just getting kind of partnering with you in any of these, what do they need to do?
Give me a call on my cell phone.
What about go to your website? Is there?
Yeah, TeifkeRealEstate.com. MattTeifke@gmail.com is my email. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're very easy to get a hold of. We want to talk to people and super responsive as well.
Cool. Well, we'll put all of his contact and stuff in the description, so you guys will have it there. But reach out to him, man. Stop slinging real estate, single family homes for the rest of your life. Take control of your destiny, man. Go after it, and Matt's going to be there to help you. So I appreciate you joining me, man. I really do. It's been awesome. But we'll have to have you back on here soon, because what we're gonna have to do, here's the plan. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this live. I mean, this is recorded, but we're gonna do it live. That we're talking about it. I'm gonna bring you back on.
All right.
When we do the deal.
Come on.
Or talk about it.
Sweet.
I'm holding myself to it too. I'm holding myself to it.
Come on. Good.
Hold my hand, I'll hold yours.
We've got it dialed in where we go raise the money and we do a webinar, and people that are here, they want to join the webinar, reach out to Travis and, get on the list, get in the queue. But we'll do these webinars, man, and we'll go pitch it. We'll have 80, 90 people there. And we had $500,000 of money that wanted to get into our RV park and they couldn't. Right? There's a lot of people that want these deals. So they can be part of the webinar and the investor update after we buy it.
Yeah. And we are like, hey, we'll keep you in the loop of what's going on, but be ready, you guys. If you all want to jump in, this is going to be the time to do it. We're gonna find a killer property, one that's going to be too good to pass on. Let's go.
RV park, mobile home park, multi-family.
I love RV parks, man. RV parks are sick. Like our mobile home parks, and people have sometimes they get a bad rap if you're not in the business. But once you look at the balance sheet, you're like, let's go, man. All right, Matt. I'll see y'all later.